Hey, welcome to the Honest Path podcast. I'm Jim.
I'm John. We are a father son writing team obsessed with young men and the people that love them and ways that young men can flourish in the 21st century, in the 2020s, and beyond. And today's episode is about economic viability, a huge one of these that we talk about cornerstone problems for men.
Man, it is. And when we say we're obsessed with young men, we mean that in the most heterosexual, powerfully constructive way
we
possible.
are we are concerned. We are obsessively concerned. Yes, very
Yes, we
yeah,
are.
yeah.
So, yeah, and economic viability is at an all-time low for young men. In fact, for the first time in history, 30-year-old men are earning less than their fathers and grandfathers did at that same age. So, it's a challenging time. So, we want to spend 2 weeks. So, this week you got a 1024 on economic viability part one, which is really about talking about understanding the shape you're in. And then next week, economic viability part two will be on how to improve the shape you're in and how to prepare yourself for greater wealth creation in a lifetime. So we're really excited about being a help in this regard. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
As always, we have a four-quarter episode. So for part one of economic viability, our quarters will be defining reality, getting oriented before you get growing. Quarter two, know your numbers from feelings to facts. Quarter three, landscape and leaks, habits, time, and environment. I'm really excited about that one.
yeah,
You've had some good points there recently, Dad. And quarter four, ownership and action from truth to traction. That one rhymes.
that is. So uh, the uh, the path we're on is to just be a really big help. Uh, I think for both of us, John, I think you have a little more economic anxiety as a person than I do. I tend to have and one of our points today is that uh, uneducated optimism is not helpful. So I have been the uneducated optimist, economically speaking. But both of us have learned some basics about getting our money under control and learning. So here's the deal: we don't want you to be, we don't want you to feel criticized. We don't want you to feel uh, badly about whatever financial prowess or lack of it you have. We just want to be an encouragement. And there's going to be some really actionable stuff today that'll help you just begin to think better about money and have some real optimism and hope about your own financial situation. So we're excited about that. And before we get diving in here, John, I thought, Robert Duvall passed away this week. And I thought, let's share our favorite Robert Duvall movie or show, our favorite performance from Robert Duvall.
I love it. A masculine icon on the screen. I don't know
Yes.
anything about his life off the screen.
I don't
Hopefully
really
he
know
was
much about
nice.
it. Yeah, I don't know much about his life off the screen either. Except I've been a big fan, from the first time I saw him.
Yeah. Well, to no surprise, my favorite would be his performance in Lonesome Dove, which I only just recently watched for the first time after reading the book, years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, he's amazing. He's perfect casting for Gus. I knew he had been cast before I read the book.
mm,
I tried not to let it color the book too much,
right.
but yeah, he's phenomenal. I want to do an honorable mention to the first Jack Reacher movie, the Christopher McQuarrie Jack Reacher movie.
Boy, he did a great job in that. It wasn't a giant role, but
No,
he crushed it.
and it's like the back half of the movie, you have no idea Robert Duvall's in this thing, and then he just is there,
Right.
and he doesn't leave until he plays a huge role in the ending, and he steals his scenes. He's so good.
When he's sitting there at the shooting range with bullets in his ear for earplugs, I just about lost it. It's just so funny.
He's great.
He is great. My favorite Robert Duvall role is Secondhand Lions.
Mm,
He's got lots of great ones, but Secondhand Lions, he plays this almost fabulistic old man, uh, and he's an enigma, and he's accomplished so many incredible things, and he's been this superhero kind of guy, and now he's an old man with his brother, and they have this kid. I think maybe he's their grandson or nephew or something that
I can't remember.
they take him to raise, and they're teaching him how to be a man, and it's just a classic movie. All
No, I
right.
thought you were going to say the preacher. Is that the name of that? I
Well,
haven't
it's
seen it,
it's
but you want
called
me
The
to watch it
Apostle.
for
It's
The
called The
Apostle.
Apostle, and Robert Duvall wrote and directed that movie. Made it with his own money because nobody wanted to make it, and it is incredible. He plays a small town Pentecostal preacher, and he clearly has a background in Pentecostal Christianity in the South because he crushes that, and he wrote it. So that is one of those rare, little known things he's done. It's not a famous thing he did. I wonder if it even made a dollar, but it was really, really, really good.
That's fun. I'll have to watch that eventually.
All right, let's get going, John. Quarter one, defining reality. You got to get oriented before you can get growing. Uh, t- where do you want to start with this? Tell me how you feel about that.
This is really interesting to me because this is true for me in all realms of anxiety as far as avoidance and kind of mental load. So like if you've ever wasted time in a day and you go, "Oh, I had so many things to do today." But if you actually look at the list, if you write them out, normally the list is shorter than it feels in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And if you and by avoiding it, you're kind of, or if you ever, for me, it's dumb stuff like emails. I've got to send an email to about insurance or about
Yeah.
uh, banking or something, and you're dreading this email. You shuffle around, you waste weeks or months, for in my case, and then you do it. It took you 25 seconds,
Right.
and you're kicking yourself. So financially, this is similar for me, where student loans was a big one when I'm going through college, I'm just signing stuff. I don't even, I'm just going. I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm not counting the cost at all.
Right.
And I blow through my GPA scholarships in about 20 minutes. So then I'm signing even more stuff. And so when we graduate, me and Lindsay get married, and it's finally, we're looking at our stuff, and I finally see the total.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no. um, and then it's so you coast. This quarter's all about coasting
Yeah.
with a cloudy sense of dread about your state of affairs, but you don't actually really know the score. You just
Yeah.
know it's not pleasant and you're coasting.
And what's interesting is avoidance feels safe. It feels like you're helping yourself with that mental load with the stress if you just avoid it. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is you're unnecessarily prolonging it. And the minute you gain clarity, you actually create leverage over the problem. Like now you have actionable ideas, which makes optimism start to rise because you realize, okay, maybe this isn't as bad as I thought. And maybe there's actually some real opportunity in front of me. So, uh, facing your facts is not pessimism or negativity. It is actually getting a grip so that you can take some steps forward. John, one of your favorite words is agency,
Mm-hmm.
and what we're talking about is understanding the lay of the land so that you can feel a sense of agency and actually start to put that to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Because in that analogy, which I love, and I wonder if it's a specific weakness of mine, but the actions you can take are always easier than you think they'll be. I'll say always. It's probably hyperbole. They're normally easier than you think they will be. They take less time and they're more impactful. So things as simple as looking at uh, into a program for debt forgiveness, even for student loans. To go back to that,
Yeah.
Lindsay's in works for the state, and so there's this vague, you hear, it's funny because we're not tuned into the news. You hear almost whispers. People are go, "Oh, I heard there's debt forgiveness for public servants and for nonprofit people."
Right.
And I worked at Evergreen at the time, so I was like, "Well, that's both of us." And but then you kick it down the road. I haven't Googled that. I should look into that. We eventually did, and it was a 10-year. If you work for a nonprofit or the state for
Oh,
10 years,
yeah.
they'll forgive your debt. And we were like, we don't want to pay interest on this for that long.
Right. Well,
It's
yeah,
things like that.
yeah. Uh, so one of the illusions is that, and this is what I did as a young man a lot. Anytime money was tight, which was all the time, my default thing was I'll go make more money. It,
Mm,
it was the ambition to grow my income was the way I was going to solve the problem, and that's only half the equation because You can save enormous amounts of money if you have some idea of where your money's actually going and then start to make intentional decisions about that. So, uh, I lived in an illusion. Part of what we call it narcostic dysfunction. You talk about something, think about something, and you think you made the world a better place, and you haven't done a dang thing
Oh,
yet. And that's what the optimism of I'll earn more money, I'll find ways to bring in more cash. In some ways, that's an illusion because that's only half the equation. And I have found way more excitement at cutting my expenses and spending money on purpose than any other thing. So the whole goal here is to move forward wisely, to face your reality, so that you can declare some power over your economic stress. This is, John, I think this is one of our biggest points for this whole first part, is that we're talking about anxiety relief.
yeah.
Knowledge gives power to start relieving your anxiety.
Yeah. Even if the straits are dire, twofold, when you see what it is, it'll probably not be as bad as you thought.
Yeah.
And by the just the simple fact of taking action, you feel better. You feel more in control and less anxious. You had a bit in the newsletter about charting every penny you spend for a month. Is
Yeah.
that kind of if someone said, "All right, I want to start," I'll believe you. I want to look into my finances. Is that where you'd have them start?
Yeah, and that's going to get us into quarter two. So just before we do that, there's a quote from a guy. He's a I never know if I always say Carl Jung. It's Carl
Oh yeah,
Jung, Jung.
it is
Uh,
young. Yeah,
it's Jung. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. I love that quote because this is especially true economically. Until you make the unconscious realities about your money conscious, you will your outcome will be directed for you, and almost always not in a way you hope, and you'll call it fate when in reality you had agency over fate. You just didn't exercise it. So
mm,
again, we're not trying to make you feel bad about this because this is pretty standard for most people, is to be disengaged or underengaged in their financial reality. I know lots of people who don't know, for example, if you asked them how much money do you make, they will have a ballpark idea. It's surprising how few people know exactly how much money they make.
yeah,
And if you ask them what their bills are, like what are your monthly fixed expenses, almost nobody knows the answer to that question. So
yeah.
that's really what we're talking about. So let's go to quarter two now, which is know your numbers. And
Mhm.
this is going to help you move from feelings to facts, from anxiety to facts, and from worry or hope to actual facts, because you cannot manage something you refuse to measure.
And this, a big part of this is shame. I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's twofold. It's people not wanting to talk about their money, but even that that refusal to look, or even refusal, even makes it sound more like a decision. Most of the time,
Right.
people are not deciding not to look. They're just
They're
they're
deciding not
just
to
avoiding
decide.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, and then there's a shame in performance, especially in America. We're such a earning driven society and an
Yeah.
individualist
Yeah.
society. So, you know, you hear about on like in island countries or in like South America, if you have like an appointment, that appointment could go like it, I'm trying to remember. There's a story. It was a missionary who had like he was trying to build something. I can't remember. So the story's falling apart. So I don't have any details, but basically he was supposed to meet with a contractor, and this is somewhere in South America.
Mm,
And so, they have this time set, around, in the morning on this day.
right.
And they show up in the evening 3 days later. And this is the same week. And so in America, that's not how that goes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with finances, it's really you're expected to be thriving and specific.
Yeah.
So when people aren't there, that shame then prevents you from even getting to anywhere close to what you want to be anyway.
Yeah. And so, again, we're going to say this probably a few times, but anxiety is not a motivation problem in this area. It's a data problem. I have anxiety because I don't know the information and I have fears about the information. So we live in stress. This was my life for so long. I felt broke, but I couldn't understand why. I can't tell you how many times I said to your mom, how can we have so little money? I'm working my butt off. We're both making a wage.
Mm.
How can we have so little money? And that's the stress and the worry of not knowing the details. So numbers are not judgment, they're coordinates for your position on the earth to give you a sense of, okay, it's the red X at the mall map. You are here.
Hmm.
And once you know you are here, you can look around the map and go, oh, well, I want to be over there. And
Yeah.
then you can look at the map and go, okay, well, here's how I can get there. So let's talk about some key things to measure, John,
Yeah.
because you've got to, if you're going to start collecting data to know where your red X is, the red dot, what do you need to know?
You need to know your income, fixed expenses, variable spending, debt, savings, and time are the basic key areas at play here for this.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about those. So, your income, you need to know what you actually make. That's a good thing. But also, when you think about uh, like even your tax withholding,
Hmm.
some people like to get a big fat refund check at tax time, and that feels like a bonus. The truth is, though, you gave up discretionary income you could have had month to month and let the government hold on to it for you for a year without paying you any interest on it.
Yeah, while it basically depreciates.
Yeah. Now, if you suck at saving, that is a savings idea because you never saw the money. Therefore, you lived without it. And now you get it in a lump sum and you can eliminate a debt or you can, do something significant with it or create an emergency savings with it, whatever. But that's even one thing to think about. Here's my income. What am I paying in taxes? Is that the right amount to be paying in taxes? And, how can I estimate that? Then
Yeah.
you shift over into the expenses you have, and there are a variety of expenses. There's the fixed kind, which mean if I don't pay this, I'm going to lose something, my house, my car,
Mm.
whatever. And then there are expenses that are not fixed. What would those be, John? Well, I mean, when you think about, I need to understand what my expenses are, what are some categories that jump to your mind?
Uh, well, things you wouldn't lose, but are still necessities. So like clothing budgets,
Mm,
groceries, and restaurant budgets. This one's tricky. We could talk a bit about zero-based budgeting, which is a big Dave Ramsey
yeah,
pillar,
yeah.
where basically your goal is to chart your income
Every dollar
and
has a name.
and every dollar goes somewhere. So
Yeah,
zero basis, and you're getting it all down to zero dollars that are unattributed to some direction.
yeah,
So that's really challenging with variable spending. It's definitely more of a skill that you get better at, and it's not one that me and Lindsay did that once and then basically coasted again
yeah.
on our zero based kind of budgets, and then we're probably due to do it again.
Well, and that's a good point, John, because you don't have to go from no discipline at all to this prison of a budget where every penny is meticulously accounted for. Making steps is a great start. So, for example, am I going to save any money, and if so, how much, and how will I save it? So, if you took like even 2 or 3% of your income and you asked your employer to send that, if you have direct deposit, to a savings account somewhere instead of including it in your take home pay that goes into your other account, you'll never see that money, but it'll start accumulating savings.
Mm,
So, the beauty thing about money is any step you take towards improvement motivates you because you can see a difference uh, pretty quickly.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Next would be debt and savings. I'll probably group those two together because it's money you get to keep to put away and money that's being taken from you over time. Uh, Measuring debt, I don't have a lot of experience with that.
Mhm.
We've avoided private debt apart from a mortgage, but we have the student loans debt. How do you have any tips for measuring your accumulated total debt?
Well, you're going to take your credit card balances, anything you've put on time. So that's credit cards. If you finance some furniture with the furniture store, if you have
Mm,
a car payment, most people believe, for example, that I'm always going to have a car payment. A lot of people, that's the way they think about it. Well, I'm going to always have a car payment. So
mm,
they're not freaked out about trading in their car, getting a different car, financing the upside down part of the car that they're trading in because I'm always going to have a car payment. And the truth is, you can have a world where you don't have a car payment. Now
Yeah.
that might
And
be
it's nice.
you guys haven't had one for a long, long time.
It's really nice.
Yeah, Sue's Ascent, her Subaru Ascent's going to be paid off this October, and we will again be in the zone where there's no car payment. But it is a beautiful thing. But let's get back to some basic stuff here that could help people move forward without being freaked out. Okay, you mentioned earlier track every cent for 30 days. This is something you can do without even trying to discipline yourself. Just carry around a little pocket legal pad or notepad or something, or some other way, digital if you want on your phone. But for 30 days, track every penny you spend everywhere. And what that'll do is now you'll have a 30-day list where you can put those in categories and realize, oh, this is how much I spend on food. This is how much I spend
Mm.
at Starbucks. This is how much I spend on groceries. This is what I spent on my car, both the payment, the insurance, the gasoline, oil changes, maintenance, whatever. Um, so uh, you want to replace your assumption with truth because if somebody held a gun to your head and said, "Tell me how much money you spend every month on blank," you're probably not going to know the answer, and you have some
Yeah.
assumptions, but your assumptions might not be very accurate.
Well, and
So
the little mini bonus from tracking every cent for 30 days is you're probably going to be a little more uh what's the word? The opposite of
discipline, yeah.
aggressive, disciplined. Yeah, you're going to be a little more timid in your spending because you're going to go, "Oh man, I
I don't want to
this
write that down.
no, yeah. This is my fifth coffee of the week,
Right.
going out to Starbucks. I should probably just make it at home."
Yeah.
Which again is the benefit of actually knowing what you're spending and what you're taking in.
And here's the good news: opportunity hides in the places you haven't measured yet. So once you start measuring this, you'll go, oh, I could make some pretty minor adjustments in my life and suddenly have this much extra money. And so you start seeing opportunity right away because you're getting the information.
Yeah. And we'll talk about this a little more in quarter three with the leaks, but the the here's the conversation I've seen. It was a couple years ago now. It's a little different uh today. But it was the boomers saying, if you'd quit getting Starbucks, you'd have a house by now. And the millennials saying, I might as well get as many coffees as I want because I'm never going to own a house.
Boy, you nailed it with both of those.
So, but the truth is that those things, like you said, the opportunity is in some of those leaks, that we'll talk about here in a bit,
Yeah.
that really does matter. It's not like your house is going to come from the Starbucks, but it's a big pool and all these tiny leaks add up. So that's a little tease for quarter three.
Well, and I had this is confession time, okay? This is just to show you that we are not two dudes who are so boring and uh whatever, that we've mastered all this. I at the end of it must have been at the end of 2023, maybe the end of 2024. I bet it was the end of 2024. I got an email from Starbucks in January of 25, and it said, "Congratulations, you are in the top 4% of our customers."
Holy
And
smokes.
they listed all the locations, all my favorite locations. You went to this Starbucks this many times, and this one this many. And so it listed my top 5 locations. It listed my top 5 orders,
Whoa.
and it said, uh, it. And when I and it said, here's how much you spent at Starbucks this year.
No way.
Yeah, and I was like, are you kidding me? I don't know what they're thinking they're going to accomplish with an email like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't get one at 2026. I think they must have caught on, like all this did was make people come here less.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to beat my chest and go, I'm in the top 4% of your customers. I did
Seriously.
wonder, why don't you treat me better? Why don't you give me
Yeah.
why wasn't there in this email some kind of gift for being one of our top clients, whatever.
That's the only way I can imagine that would have worked. Or they expected you to put it on your Facebook and to advertise for them. Go, woohoo, look at me.
Yeah. Look at me. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of meetings there, so a lot of those are business expenses, and it's a great place to have a meeting, and I have tons and tons and tons of meetings. But
Yeah.
boy, a lot of it was just me. So just even paying attention to that one thing. Hey, I'm going to I'm going to reduce my Starbucks experiences. Uh, Makes a big difference. All right,
Yeah.
before we get to quarter three, John, let's do our book recommendations. And we love this. We like to keep recommending books to you because we want you to be readers. And we think readers are leaders, and we think reading improves your vocabulary. It stimulates your imagination. I saw this quote, John, the other day that I had written down in my journal. I was flipping through pages of old journals. When a man reads a book, when a person reads a book, they leave their world into a different world, and they come back to a world different than the one they left, because you
Mm,
come back a different person. You come back with something with you now that you didn't have when you entered into the book.
yeah.
I think that's just a great way to think about that. So, what's your book
Well,
recommendation?
I love that. And I was just talking to, I had coffee with our good friend, Noah, listener on the show, great
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
We were talking about reading and talking about how reading is the nearest interface that you can have with another idea. So if you're watching
Mm.
a TED Talk, you can play the TED Talk at half speed, you can rewind it, watch it again, but that will never be the same level of exposure your mind's having with another person's thoughts as when you read their text. There's something kind of crazy that happens there. I don't really know psychologically what's going on,
Well, it
but
probably
it's pretty
activates a
remarkable.
different part of your brain too, because
Yeah.
you're using different parts of your brain. One of the
Yeah.
reasons I love podcasting is because people typically listen to podcasts driving in their car by themselves, working out at the gym, sitting somewhere, and a lot of times they have headphones on, and it's a very intimate form of communication. So, hey, if you're on the treadmill, way to go. Thanks for letting us be in your ears and in your head while you work out.
Yeah.
It
You
is a
got
high
this.
honor. Yeah.
Okay, well, all that to say, my book recommendation is characteristically dumb, but I think it's still even it's fiction. I recommend a lot of fiction, but it's still better for your brain. It's still it goes deeper. And this, because we're talking about money, I wanted to pick a heist book, and I
Oh,
realized I haven't read a ton of those. There's a lot more heist movies. Subtle right now. Quick recommendation to the movie Thief, Michael Mann's first feature film starring James Caan. Thief, it's amazing.
I
Uh,
watched. Did I watch that with
you
you?
did,
I
but you watched it when
last
you
time
came
I was at
over.
your house, I watched that with you because you were so lit up about
Wasn't it awesome?
it. It was. Yeah.
I feel like you're doing me a favor, but this is, and you speaking of doing me a favor, this is the Black Echo,
Yeah.
the first Bosch book by Michael Connolly. I would have this in print, but this guy has my copy and he hasn't even finished it.
Well, it's a great book, and we're both huge Bosch fans. Bosch is a character by what's the author's name?
Michael Connolly.
Michael Connolly, and he's an LA detective, and he's just awesome. And so we've seen every season of Bosch, and the books are better even than the TV show.
It's maybe the shows are maybe the best book adaptation I've ever seen, as far as
Yeah.
partly because Connolly's a staff writer on the show. He's a producer and a writer.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
he's doing all kinds of cool judo moves with characters and themes that you know from the book, mix mashing them, doing new stuff. It's
right.
amazing.
That's
I've read the
awesome.
first 5 books. The first one so far is my favorite, but they're all great, and it has a really cool heist kind of scene, bank robbery
I'm
scene.
wondering if you're subconsciously encouraging our listeners to go steal something. Like
Well, no,
we're
it's
talking
the
about
money
money.
episode.
I
I know.
know we're talking about improving your finances, and you're talking about a heist.
It's
So
fun.
I think what I'm getting from that is I need to go figure out who I can rob to improve my financial. I must consider my financial situation and how I might improve it.
I'm just saying the protagonist is Harry Bosch and he stops the thieves. It's not a
Oh,
pro
okay, yeah,
thievery book,
that's right.
but
Because
also you love the Ocean's movies. Heists are fun. Heists
they
are
are
cool.
they are fun. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I know.
And let us just be clear: if you steal something, you're going to jail. Like
Harry
people
Bosch will
don't
get you.
people don't people don't actually rob banks and get away with it. It's incredibly rare to get away
Yeah.
with that kind of crime. Okay, here's my book. Since we're talking about money, I thought I would talk about this book, which is Dave Ramsey, and it is Financial Peace University Revised, Financial Peace
Revisited.
Revisited. And I lift this book up because you can take financial peace at a lot of churches all over the country. Uh, it is just managing your money 101. Now you can read that book. There are lots of other books that could teach you basic money management. But since we're talking about money and we're talking about reading, you might as well read a book that'll help you in your money. The other book
And
I would recommend is Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a classic, but
mm,
it's more about how to think about money whereas Financial Peace University is 100% tactics. It is a tactical approach to getting a grip on your money.
And Dave Ramsey gets kind of a bad rep these days. I do think he's in in a lot of the ways that young people struggle, he's a little out of touch. But the advice is really golden. When in our early days, when we had a lot of student debt, me and Lindsay treated financial peace like nearly the gospel. Like
Yeah.
we broke a few of his rules. Like he would say, don't do a 30-year mortgage. I would say it's impossible to do anything less than 30-year mortgage unless you're a millionaire these days.
Well,
Uh,
probably not a millionaire, but you got to have a radical, like if you were entirely debt free, no car payments and everything, double income, you might be able to do it. 15-year note. Uh,
we couldn't have done it. We had all those things. We
yeah.
could not have done that. But anyway, all that to say, I defend Dave Ramsey, and those his tools seriously make a huge difference. They work.
And he's funny. And
Yeah.
so it's not boring. He takes the boring out of it. All right, we're going to go to quarter three, which is about landscape and leaks, which is habits, time, and environment. Small behaviors can make big outcomes. And John, today I got an email from one of our subscribers who was giving me thumbs up from this week's 1024 on economic viability part one. And he told me about a paperweight he's had on his desk at every job he's ever had, and he got this when he was 9 years old, and it's an acrylic brick with like six pennies in it, standing and spinning around in there.
Mm.
And he was 9 years old. Got this in 1972 when he was 9 years old, and he had a Benjamin Franklin quote on the outside of it, which said, "Beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship." And that's a quote from Benjamin Franklin.
He got this when he was 9 years
nine
old.
years old, and I'm thinking, well, man, Dennis has been way too serious for way too long. So, Dennis, way to
Uh,
go. And Dennis is a guy who was able to pivot to retirement slash self employment at a very young age because he managed his money incredibly well. So, way to go, Dennis. Uh,
that's awesome.
all right, so let's talk about this, John. One of the core ideas is that economic reality is shaped daily, not annually. We tend to think of, well, how much money will I make next year? Maybe next
Yeah.
year I'll get a promotion, then everything will get better. But your reality is shaped on a daily basis, not a yearly one.
Well, and these are those habits. Well, actually, we talked about it in our habits episode and newsletter a few weeks ago. But the power of every day is incredible. In fact, the example we used in that the part on habits is compound interest is something that you
Mm-hmm.
do every single day, and the positive and negative implications of that. So if you
Yeah.
save, if you prevent one expense or you put some money aside regularly, maybe daily or weekly,
Mm-hmm.
the power of that and the power of blowing, in this example, $5 to $7 on a Starbucks every morning.
Yeah.
That doesn't look like much in the day, but that kind of daily leak is really significant or can be really significant.
Yeah, Sue and I are on a kick right now. We are doing fine economically, but we just got motivated to even find ways to add more cash flow to savings or whatever. And we've talked about this before, how we went through all of our subscriptions, and by dialing those down and tightening up and reducing our TV time, we're up to now $360 a month in savings from just managing those subscriptions.
That's
But another
awesome.
thing we've done is we started eating at home. When you're just two people, cooking for two people seems like, a lot of work when you can just eat faster. And I do enjoy the experience of eating out.
Me too.
But we have gotten where, uh, well, what do we have in there? Let's make something out of nothing, and getting our pantry down to the nubs before we go buy groceries again.
Well,
And
you're married to Chef MacGyver.
she
She could
is,
turn anything in that pantry into a pretty good meal.
she really can. And we had looked at our spending again like a month or two ago, and it was like our monthly money on groceries, which would be groceries and eating out, was $2,000.
Ooh,
And just by paying attention, we got it down to $1,100 in 1 month's time.
that's awesome.
So we gave ourselves $900,
Yeah,
just by
a
paying
month.
attention. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and
so yeah,
uh,
go ahead.
what No, just that power is amazing. For me, that was what you said. So your temptation is when you were younger was always, I'll make more money.
Yeah.
Like no worries about this. I'll just make more. Mine's the exact always been the exact opposite. I don't want to have to make more money. I want to spend less so I can live like a total hermit. Like I can go
Yeah.
live in a cave. So all of this has kind of been my little hobby is imagining. And when you're married, it's not that easy because turns out women don't want to live in caves. They don't want to wear sackcloth and camel hair and
They
live
don't
in a
want to have
camper.
one pair of jeans that they wear every day.
Exactly. But I in my it's almost it's a limbo. How low can you go? How much can we really eliminate
Yeah.
and live free? It's kind of a fun thing for me. But,
Yeah, you made me remember a Dave Ramsey quote where he says, "Live like no one else, so that one day you can live like no one else."
hmm.
And that's the beauty of pensioning it now so you can enjoy it later.
Yeah,
Uh,
meaning yeah, people your age wanting to go out to uh, um, uh, movies or do something or go out to eat every night of the week, and you have to say no and you sacrifice now and you
mhm.
seem kind of weird or broke, so that in the future you are actually set.
We had this dude when I was in high school. I sold shoes at the mall, and it was a commission based job. So I was one of the highest income earners of anybody in my high school. Man, I had cash all the time.
People
I'd
probably thought you
go.
were selling drugs or something.
Well, it was what was amazing, and I also dressed nice because you start dressing nice for the mall, and I kind of like dressing nice. But I would, I'd make $120 on Saturday. This is 1982. No, 1979. Uh, I'm making ridiculous money in a single day, and so we had this guy that worked at the shoe store who was going to college out of town, and so he'd come home for the weekends. He would get in Thursday night and he would sell shoes till we closed Thursday night. He'd work all day Friday night, all day Saturday. This was back during, I think, Texas blue laws, so we weren't open on Sunday. The mall was closed on Sunday. So he would come in and he would work. He would work Thursday night, all of Friday night, all of Saturday, Saturday night, and he would bring his sack lunches and snacks with him and stick them in the fridge. This
Hmm.
guy would not spend a penny. And when he graduated college, he didn't owe a penny for his education, and he bought a brand new car for himself for graduation with cash because that's the way he did it. So he lived like no one else so that when he graduated, he could live like no one else in his graduating class. So
That's amazing.
it's amazing. And it was hilarious to watch him because we're mocking him while we run down to the mall to get another coffee.
Yeah, and he pulls away in his brand new car on graduation day,
That's
laughing
right.
harder than you ever
Laughing,
did.
laughing at everybody. Now, John,
Well,
part of this
yeah,
is environment shapes outcomes, and this is one of your favorite topics. So talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
So normally it comes up in productivity or goals or avoiding unhealthy or unwanted habits, like with screen time, mostly, for instance, in the modern world.
Yeah.
So normally this comes up in that designing your spaces away from the time you don't want to spend and towards the time you do want to spend. So making reading easier in your environment
Hmm.
than screen time. So financially, Dad, yeah, how does this come up here?
Well, for me, it's friend influence because part of your environment is the people around you.
Hmm.
And I watch my best friend Dougal. His wife makes barrels of money. They have barrels of money. They owe nobody. Their house is paid off. So they're as comfortable with discretionary income as anybody I know. And when we go to the movies, he sneaks in his candies. And when we go play golf, he's bringing 6 Diet Pepsis to stick in the golf cart rather than pay money for a Diet Pepsi at the golf course.
Yeah.
This guy pinches pennies everywhere. And I'm like, you don't have to do that anymore. You guys are stacked, but it's the way he lives, and it has really inspired me. This thing Sue and I are doing about, how much can we eat at home and all that. I think of Dougal all the time because man, the guy loves to pinch pennies, and that environment of being around somebody like that is helpful. So
Yeah. Well, I going into quarter four, we're going to talk more about ownership and action. But I have my one for basically in advocation for the joy of not of saving money in ways that it's not really flogging yourself. Coffee's my big example. So if you're unless you have a big quarter three takeaway, I'll take us into quarter four.
go for it.
Talk about coffee.
Yeah.
So here's the joys of black coffee. You can if you get a Hario brand hand grinder off Amazon. I think it's $15 or $20. If you get a Hario pour over from Amazon, I think $15 or $20. You buy beans from a local roaster. We've got one here, Ecclesia Coffee
Our good
in
friend Chad,
Rochester,
Ecclesia Coffee, best coffee I've ever had in my life. I'm not lying.
and really, truly great prices.
Incredibly affordable. I can't
Yeah,
believe he needs to raise his prices.
yeah. Filters cost pennies. And with just looking up a little ratio recipe on YouTube, you can make the best coffee with those after spending that money than you'll ever get in a coffee shop. I'm not even kidding. It's not hard. It doesn't take technique. A scale. You need a scale so that you can kind of measure what grams you're putting in per grounds to water.
You're such a coffee snob, man.
But no, this is what I'm telling you.
I know
I'm
you can
telling
be a
you,
coffee snob for pennies.
yes, for pennies and not sacrifice. So you're saving money. It costs a little bit of time, but it's also good for your character. And you get a little ritual every morning. And if you drink it black, 0 calories. It's a win-win-win. It's
Now,
amazing.
if you're watching this on our video, you can see by John's face he's really proud of himself. And if you're listening, you can hear that pride in his voice, which is really the big idea of fourth quarter is self-respect grows when you deal with the truth. So, here you are feeling great about the coffee you produce for pennies
Well, it's
because
also great coffee. It tastes amazing. I'm
we we
saying
we
it's a
get it, John.
win-win.
We get it. Yeah, we get it. So, but that's a cool thing is
Uh,
you start to have you know progress stimulates more progress because you feel really good about yourself. So, here's some thoughts. Your current reality is not a verdict that you're a loser. It is a starting point to start building the life you really, really want. You are not your past decisions. You are responsible for your next decision. So this is you saying, you know what? I'm going to insert my will over my money. Instead of living underneath my money's governance of me, I'm going to assert my will over my money.
hmm.
And we've got family members, Sue's sister and her husband, who are missionaries. They've been career missionaries their whole career, and they have never made near the money that we have made. They own 3 homes. They pay fat cash for everything. They have money in savings. They have money in retirement because it's not about how much money you make as much as it is with how you manage what you are given. And so you really have a lot of potential opportunity and power in your hands. And it begins by understanding where you're currently at, and then by just doing some small little things to move forward.
Well, and what that does is there's a level of we talked about that ambiguity and kind of shame, and there's a distrust of yourself or a lack of confidence. What Pam and Jeff, as you bring up, they are they're at the end of not at the end, but they're after decades of experience at this.
Yeah,
They are masters. They're
they
truly
they are.
masters.
They are.
So this it's a skill into itself, and the confidence grows. So I think there's a jump. We talked about the gap from not doing anything to doing something and taking away that anxiety because you're taking control and that immediate jump of confidence is huge. And it only gets better over time as you
Yeah.
understand these tools better. And I mean, they can make it's amazing. I thought I was frugal. These guys can make a dollar go to the moon. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
it's really something. So it's inspirational, even is what I mean to say
Yeah,
that
and
you
if you
yeah.
go to their house for dinner, they're not going to feed you like watered down spaghetti with sauce. You know,
With ketchup.
they're going to feed you a real meal because they
Yeah.
don't they don't they don't suffer while they do this amazing thing. We got a Bill Gates quote. People overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, and they drastically underestimate what they can do in 10. And the way I've heard this quote is really over a different kind of quote, but it's similar. People overestimate what they can accomplish in a year and dramatically underestimate what they can accomplish in a lifetime.
Mm.
So really what we're talking about is your whole life here. And I remember, John, I was 40 years old and I'm driving down this highway in Texas and I see a billboard that says, you just spent more time reading this billboard than most people spend planning their retirement.
Oh my
And I
word.
was like, oh crap. I'm 40, and that is exactly true of me. I just spent more time reading that billboard than I've spent planning retirement. And at 40, that's late in the game to get started. You can the difference between starting at 25 with tiny little deposits versus starting at 40, and we had the benefit of high wage earning years when we were pastoring a really bigger church, and Sue had a much bigger job. So we're throwing tons of money in our retirement at the end because we
Mm.
had been irresponsible at the beginning. So you can accomplish a lot over a long span of time. Time is your friend if you'll start today.
Well, and it's a tough reality. One of my friends is a financial planner, and his boss always says that his least favorite phrase in the English language is "it's not too late." He says sometimes it is too late.
Mm,
He says with financial planning specifically with retirement, if you started, say you started when you're 60
55
or
or 60, yeah.
yeah, some things you got to start. The best day to do it is today. So there is not to instill fear, but only to instill urgency that
Yeah.
that coasting we talked about in the beginning, that's a real slippery slope. There's
Yeah.
been stuff that I've coasted on. And I look back, it's been a full calendar year without me even noticing it because
Wow.
that's how time works.
Yeah.
So acting today, don't feel bad about how long you've waited. Just do it today.
So this is our big deal. Hey, uh, stop feeling like a victim. I don't have a good enough job. Life is too expensive. Those are both probably true, and they are not responsible for your financial outcomes. You are. So, what we want you to do is just to identify what you can fully own. This is the whole ownership conversation. I have to own my world. And so
Mm.
this is my income. These are my needs. This is my expenses. I have to own that. And there's only two ways to progress. I can grow my income. I can reduce my expenses. I probably need to do both. And so, but you got to take ownership of that. And that's what next week we're going to spend the whole time on how to grow your current income, how to maximize your current income, how to prepare yourself for a more prosperous career, and how to pursue wealth creation. So we'll get into that next week. This week, we really just wanted you to start with some actionable things. So we got a 1 week challenge for you. Okay. Why don't we finish with this 1 week challenge here, John, and then
Sure.
we'll kind of have a closing comment or thought. We would say to pick one action that you'll do starting this week. And we got some options for you. John, run through some options.
Okay, so we have and this is not exhaustive. If you guys have more ideas,
Yeah,
if
you
this
have
sparks
ideas of your
ideas,
own. Yeah.
yeah, go crazy. But you could either pick one for this week, track your spending, list all your debts, audit your subscriptions like you and mom did,
Mm-hmm.
block time for financial review, so schedule it if this week's too crazy, or write down current numbers, no spin. So no
Yeah.
shame, no just the hard data.
Yeah. Information is your friend, and ignorance is your enemy. What I don't know does continue to punish me, and what I do know continues to empower me. So that's really the big deal. So either, track your spending this week, every penny, list all your debts. You'll be surprised how many there are. And we mentioned in the newsletter this week the debt snowball. You can do a YouTube search on the debt snowball, and you can watch a video. There's hundreds of them probably to show you how to do the debt snowball, and it'll motivate you. It'll empower you.
And that one, yeah, I didn't know if I should like, spill that in this one or part two, but seriously, me and Lindsay on a very modest. It was when I was making coffee money and then journalist money. On that budget, we eliminated something like $40,000 of our student loans doing that snowball stuff.
Wow, wow.
So that stuff really, really works. That's the kind of this will be my closing thought is the straits are dire as far as wealth moving up in age, right? How our 70-year-olds make 72% more than they did 40 years
Mhm.
ago, and people under 40 make 27% less than they did 40 years ago. That's real.
Yeah, it is real.
And it is nothing to none of this is quit complaining.
Yep.
It is only that you have agency and to meet your goals that you can place. And there is a lot of hope in that for you.
You live in a world where taxes are climbing, prices are going up, incomes are flat, and these realities are there. And we believe we live with a God who will put His blessing on our efforts. And so we know that you don't need more motivation. You need more truth, and you need the courage to take some action.
Mm,
You can do this. You can make incremental changes that'll improve your life. And doing nothing is the worst decision you make. John, I remember when you were younger, you struggled to make decisions. Uh, you've gotten substantially better at that, by the way. But
mm,
it used to be that decisions created anxiety for you. Like, what if I make the wrong decision? And I remember one day we were having a coffee. I think you were either home from college or you were in high school still. And I had read this somewhere, and it said, "Hey, the best decision you can make is the right one, and the second best decision you can make is the wrong one, and the worst decision you can make is no decision at all."
mm,
And that's, boy, if that is as true about money as anything we've talked about. The best decision you can make some good financial decisions. The worst decision you make is to make some bad financial decisions. But don't sit there and make no financial decisions. Don't sit there and do nothing, because, like my friend Cindy always said, if nothing changes, nothing
nothing
changes.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that other one, the decision one, is a Teddy Roosevelt quote.
is
So we
that
got
right?
one, yeah, we got one Benjamin Franklin, we got one Teddy Roosevelt. If you're not going to listen to us, listen to them and your friend Cindy. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I just bought a book, John, by the way, of Harry Truman. It is a Pulitzer Prize winning biography of Harry Truman. I can't wait to start
Mm,
reading it. The sucker's thick, man.
they always are.
But I'm
You maybe
really
you,
excited to get started.
yeah, if you like it, you bring it up for your show and tell. You can
Yeah.
let us know how it is.
And then Braga showed this big fat book. Yeah, I've read
Yeah.
that. All the books. This is a fraction of my books. This is a lot of Bethany's books too. But so if you see a book in there, you go, I can't believe he'd read that. That's probably Bethany's book. But upstairs, I have more bookcases and more books. And I used to fill my office with books when I had a church office. And people say, "Have you read all of those?" And my answer was always the same: some of them twice. which
Ooh,
which was an avoidance answer, because some of them I have
right.
not read, but
But
some of
you
them I
had read
have
some
read
of them
twice.
twice. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, yeah,
Thank you guys. Today, when you're listening to this, the ebook of our first ever ebook, the digital version of it, is available on our website. It's called "The Beginning and End of Masculinity: An Owner's Manual." Excuse me. Uh, we're super proud of it. We were really hard on it, and we think these kind of identity foundation issues, we think we've stumbled onto something here. But looking back to design, looking back to the beginning and
yeah,
identity, in a world that just has no idea what to do with men and masculinity in general. And if you would
yeah,
like a paperback of that, that'll be out, I believe, next Friday.
yeah. Available on Amazon and paperback the last week of February, the last few days of February, and available in ebook from our website. Um, and we did a leader's guide. So if you want to get a group of guys together, you could get a bunch of buddies together and you could go through it together. So there's also a leader's guide that's available as an ebook. And we haven't decided yet if we're going to put that on Amazon paperback yet or not. But so there's a leader's guide for those who want to get a group of guys together and facilitate a group journey together. It's only 5 chapters, an introduction in 5 chapters, so it's not hefty. But man, it'll help you. The core, we believe the world's messaging about masculinity is so messed up and so negative and destructive that we've got to go back to the origin story of masculinity and figure out how we were designed as men, what we were designed for. So it's not so much a practices book as it is a formation book. How do I
Absolutely.
form the masculine soul inside me so that I can then have a compass to get me going forward? Super
Yeah.
excited about it.
Yeah. And if you wanted, patrons get that included in their pledge. If you want to support us financially regularly, you get that free of charge or no additional cost. And your next one will be early. They always get them a little earlier than
Yep.
the public.
Yeah, the next two books are already on the drawing board. They're already in development. And if you want to support us, you go to patreon.com/Jim and John.
No H in the John.
That's right. Never an H in the John. All right.
Alrighty.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week. Oh, one more thing. We have our online community on the last Thursday night of February. So join us on a Zoom. If you're not a subscriber, subscriptions are free, and subscribers get invited to join us on that Zoom call where we get a bunch of guys together online and we talk out man stuff. So hope you'll join us for that.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
All right.